Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to apologize that we're 5 minutes late. Our last one ran 5 minutes over, obviously. I'd like to welcome you to the Town of Pownell Select Board Meeting, April 24th, 2025 at 6:05 PM. Let's call the meeting to order. Board member roll call.
Carl Strohmeyer.
Jeannie Alexander.
Mike Gardner.
Jamie Persky.
You all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I usually read through the entire agenda, but tonight I'm just going to ask for approval. I think everyone's had plenty of time to read it.
I'll make the motion.
Second that motion.
Any corrections, adjustments to the agenda? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next section is public comment. And I'm going to make a statement before public comment. We're going to stick to our 3-minute rule per person. I'm going to give everyone a chance to speak one time. And if somebody wants to say something again after I've gone through the entire room in Zoom, I will certainly give you another opportunity. There will be no arguing or accusations in this room tonight. None. There'll be no interchange back and forth. And I'm asking everyone just to please abide by that. Right? I would love to have everyone have their 3 minutes to state why you're here. And I will certainly afford that to everyone here. If somebody gets arguing or argumentative with someone in this room, I will ask you to leave at that point, period. If it's 1 minute into your comment, it's 1 minute. If it's your second set of comments, too bad. I will ask you to leave the room. If you refuse and things get out of hand, we're going to have a recess and the room will be cleared and that will be the end. I want this to be as amicable as possible. So I'd like to open up public comment. Do I have somebody who can time my 3 minutes? Jim Boutin. Oh, sorry. When you speak, please state your name. I'm sorry. I know most everyone in here, but I don't know everybody in here. So
Jim Buchanan, I live on the old military road in Powell. And as a Powell, Vermont resident, I observed with great concern the deteriorating state of the properties situating between Dollar General Store and Dion's Snowshoe on Route 7. These properties are filled with accumulated bags of waste, refuse from previous tag sales, and unregistered vehicles. The issues transcend more aesthetics. The matter of the health hazard endangering our neighborhood and our community, and many of us have questions why this is permitted to continue. Local zoning laws are explicit about the conditions under which property owners should maintain their premises. The tangible violation and negligence of these laws have left the properties in question as an eyesore and a potential risk for disease spread. According to studies, refuse and waste buildup can often lead to disease outbreak, and abandoned vehicles can serve as breeding grounds for pests and rodents. That's from the Center of Disease Control. Our community prides itself on fostering a healthy and a scenic environment. Allowing such negligence to persist devalues the efforts each of us put into maintaining and enhancing what we love about Pownell. Therefore, this is a request to the Select Board of the Town of Pownell, Vermont to take immediate action on the issue. We call for the required cleanup of collected garbage, scattered junk from previous sales, and removal of unregistered vehicles in violation of our local zoning laws from these properties. Taking action only protects our health, not only protects ourselves, but preserves the integrity and charm of our beloved town. Preserve Pownell, please.
thank you.
By the way, I put out a petition, and as to date, I have 229 signatures. And I'll leave those with you.
We were able to print out that.
Copies. Okay.
We were able to print that copy out. Thank you. Anybody else?
Gary Briggs, longtime resident of Pownell, lived on Old Military Road. travel very frequently between our home and Bennington. And I've seen the lot that Jim has talked about and deteriorating. And after being away for this winter and coming back, I could not believe what I saw. It was just horrible. It appears that the tables are down and there's debris all over that piece of property, which is now blowing across the road and gathering on the other side of the road. So it's sad to see that that's what people see when they come into our town, in the center of our town. So I would hope that some sort of action to be taken to clean that up.
Thank you, Gary.
Rich Ryder, a resident of Beechwood Lane, Pownell, Vermont. Since it's on Route 7, where does the state stand on this? I mean, do they have any input as to this blight that is a black eye and a sore spot of our town? You know, that when you enter from Williamstown, the gateway to Vermont, wow. I mean, it's an embarrassment to Vermont. It's not a gateway, it's an embarrassment. And something's got to be done because it's just been put off way too long.
Jenny Dew, a resident of Pownell. I think that we could probably gather enough volunteers once we can get onto that property, and we can get that thing cleared out in a day with all of our trucks and hazmat suits, I suppose. But I, for one, would volunteer to help clean up.
If there's a free dump day.
Thank you.
And I'd like the dump to be free for that day.
Anybody else in the room?
I have not been to one of these meetings and I have a comment, but it's on something that's coming up later. Is there another time to speak on that, or is now just the time?
There's another time. Anybody else in the room care to speak on public comment? Any issue, doesn't matter if it's this issue or any public comment in general.
Well, I will stand up again.
Well, let me,
Well, my 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Walt Klinger out of North Pownell Range here. A little over a week, we have an event coming up here that's going to draw people to town. I don't know if it's going to bring in 50 or 500, but going to have people coming through for the 250th expedition to Fort Ticonderoga that we're planning. And it would be nice if we made the best impression with that. I felt moved today to go out and personally do something. I went up on the property and started picking up trash along the road, and there's a Green Up Vermont bag full of stuff up there now. So I'm willing to help and, do what I can do, but a few more Green Up bags aren't going to do it. So, but whatever I can do, if I can offer assistance, if I can have sweat equity and help out with that, or whatever I can do, I'd be happy to volunteer to help.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks.
hold on one second, I'm just making some notes, sorry.
Hi, Tom Zolper, Center Street. I'm here for another issue, but I just want to also publicly say I volunteered to help with the cleanup. And if there's some kind of legal action that the town is involved with, I understand, the law moves very slowly, but if the parties involved are amenable, I mean, maybe they wouldn't mind if townspeople came in. The stuff can't be value anymore at this point. So maybe someone could reach out or at least offer some volunteers if that works for whoever's involved.
Hey, Mike, just a little background on that property.
Can you just state your name, please, for the,
It's Shorto. Little background on that.
I know who you are, but not everybody doesn't, so.
That property's been in contempt of court with the state for quite a while. The problem is
it was always really hard for us to get folks like that cleaned up because they knew that they weren't gonna go to jail. That was the most important thing to them. So if they were in contempt, you know, it didn't matter. We'd bring them back for contempt again. And the judge would just say, look, you need to do this, you know, and they knew they weren't going to jail. And that was the end of it. We had a ton of cases like this. And that's where that one was at last. I know I'm retired now, but unfortunately, in my experience, local municipalities had better luck dealing with places like that than the state did. Doesn't sound right, but that's usually the case because you guys can invoke a health order and go in there on your own and clean it up and then charge them, not that you'll get that money, but so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vince.
Anybody? Yes. Right, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I didn't see.
I'm Sean Mateo. I live at the properties. I bought the properties 6 years ago. I'm in court right now, dealing with corrupt judges and stuff. I finally got it into the Supreme Court. I bought the land from a con artist, Patrick Gray, and he refuses to give me the deed after I paid for it. So that's why we're in court. I do apologize. I am appalled. I don't want to live like that. But at the same time, you know, this local judge here ordered, even though he's seen all my receipts of payments, he sided with Pat Gray. Amongst other things, he violated my constitutional rights. Anyway, I was suing, he wasn't even supposed to hear the case. I was suing him on another case, the judge, and he refused to recuse himself. I've been in havoc, you know, even just the last 14 days, she was in the hospital. She's, what do you got?
Hyperemesis corrector.
But I mean, I've been dealing with a lot. I know it's junk. And I do plan on cleaning it up. The problem is the judge ordered a unlawful order and demanded that I remove everything from my buildings, everything, and kick me off the land. And then the sheriffs were supposed to, you know, arrest me on April 1st if I was there. I finally got it in the Supreme Court and this judge is being investigated. I had no intentions of picking this mess up if I was forced out of my home that I paid over $300,000 for. I mean, it's understandable. I'm battling Patrick in court. I thank everybody for, you know, offering to help cleaning up and stuff. That's really something. I do have intentions of cleaning it up now that the winter's gone anyway, and now that I got it into the feds. So that's that. I just been dealing with a lot constantly.
Sean, can I ask you a
Yes, ma'am.
question? Yeah. First, I appreciate you coming here. Like, I saw the article too and the banner, and so I appreciate your being willing to be here with your neighbors. Because town was small enough that we're each other's neighbor. And it does sound like that you are going through it right now. And I think if I were in your position, and that would feel overwhelming to me. Like, you're not well, right? It feels overwhelming. I get it. And we do have people offering to clean up. So what I would ask, there's nothing in the buildings or anything else, just what's on the outside and the stuff that you can see and identify and say, yeah, I get it. If we can organize folks that are happy to help, I'm happy to be in contact with you directly. I can give you my number. Could I help organize something with you all and get some folks down there to clean it up?
Absolutely. A
Okay.
couple things to add though.
Yeah.
So Patrick Gray illegally put those vehicles there. Those are not mine. As you can see, I removed all my personal vehicles.
Gotcha.
You know, all my cars are registered anyway.
Okay.
The only thing that's there is my car and my motorcycle, and they're both registered.
Gotcha.
I'm charging Pat $25 a day since he dropped each and one of those cars off. And one of them's stolen,
Mhm.
but the police can't do nothing with it. You know what I mean? But yet it's on the land and he dropped it off.
I
There's
will,
no household garbage.
Right.
It is the flea market stuff. And
Yep.
I did tell people on Facebook to come and grab some stuff if they wanted it because there was still a lot of good stuff. They completely trashed it.
Yeah.
In like 3 days. They flipped tables, they took table, they took this. So it was a lot of this, you know, now too, but absolutely.
Okay. I get that. can I give you my number?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. I just think it's easier if we can work together.
I'm good. To
Thank you.
Ash, is there any more comment in the room? I think we had one in the back. Nope.
I came here actually on a different matter. I was forwarded an article from a source that I don't know what it came from that was very defamatory to one of our current select people, and it disturbed the heck out of me. And I just wanted to find out, I hope that there is no legal way to remove the duly elected select person by this town. And I just wanted to put that to rest if possible. I thought it was very sad to read that article, and I hope we don't have any more junk like that we have to look at.
To put one of your concerns to rest, to be removed from the select board, you almost have to die. There are not a lot of, Jenny, you can comment, but there's not a lot of ways to remove a select.
Because they're an elected official, they're elected by the people. The only time any time to do that is at the next election, period.
Jenny?
Jenny Dewar again, there are 3 ways for a select person to be removed: death, proof of insanity, or resignation. That's in the select board handbook, that's the law in entire Vermont. So that's very clear. I also have seen these articles. Our country is in a sad place right now with all the hatred, and Democrats, Republicans, fine. Nazis, no, not okay. And that article is from a Nazi propaganda organization, and anyone who follows it, just because you're reading something on the internet does not make it true. And I think that the people of Pownell, regardless of who they voted for in this election, are by majority good people. They just have different ideology. That's an ideology that Pownell cannot have, and I would hope that our Republican neighbors come down hard on the people who are sharing this crap.
One thing that I do want to comment on that particular thing. I've sat here, this is my 6th year. I have sat with some of them for the entire duration, sitting with some new ones here now. Jamie's a little bit longer than I am here, but I will say that I have never sat on this board with any individual who did not have any agenda other than what was best for the town of Pownell. Not what's best for you or you or you or you or any of us. What's best for the entire town. And that includes the board that I'm sitting on now. That is exactly, I've never felt differently. And I've had conversations with people out on the street. Some of them weren't all that pleasant sometimes. But they still, even then, we were still able to come to an agreement that we all want what's best for the town of Pownell. That's why everyone's in this room, because you feel that your comment, that's what you feel. The comment on the property on Route 7, that's why there's other people in here. This is what you feel is the best for the town. That's what this current board feels, and every board that I've sat on, period. And the employees that work in this building, that's all they care about is what's best for the town of Pownell. No one has a personal agenda. I can guarantee you that, because they wouldn't sit long with me. They would sit here, but they wouldn't get a whole lot of information. I can tell you that. We're all here for the same reason. We're all here for every single person who lives in this town. Sean?
I really don't know what you guys are talking about in that aspect. I'm sure you'll explain it later on.
No,
I don't think it needs.
it doesn't need an explanation.
Related.
No, I'm sorry, but
Oh, sorry, Nathan Bell, I just wanted, thanks for that, Mike, and yeah, I just wanted to kind of reinforce it's really easy to throw stones and to criticize, but I just want to thank all of you for doing the work that you do, because clearly there are not a lot of people that have the stomach to do it, and we're really just lucky to have all of you on board, and we really do support you, and yeah, just for anybody who is critiquing, I just want to reinforce that, yeah, I really do believe all of these folks have their hearts in the right place, even when I disagree with them. So thank you all.
Yeah.
Do we have any on Zoom, you know?
Hello, Jim Kosis, North Mason Hill Road. How you all doing? First of all, I appreciate all the people that are there to speak up on the Route 7 issue, but I just left the executive session that Select Board had at 5 o'clock, and if I understood it correctly, the announcement at the end was that the town of Pownell is being sued by the Pownell Center Community Church, and I wholeheartedly feel that that is the best thing that church is doing because of the way they have been treated within the last year, to have the town's iron-handed ability to try to do whatever they could to have them sign over that building to the town without the town doing its proper due diligence to find out what is the legal aspects of the property, what is the legal aspects of the building, who built all the buildings. There are listers cards that date back to 2004 and says this is a non-deed leave land situation. At that point, it was the old town office and the church. Now, all of a sudden, we have a current lister card that says now the property involved is the old town office, the church, and all the other property around that whole area. And I just think the town has not done its due diligence, but has used every tactic that it could do to almost take a situation like eminent domain of a church organization that has been there for many, many years, that has maintained that building the best of their ability, and now they're being hindered not to paint it because, first of all, they're being told it's in a historical area and they have to get the permission of the town. Hogwash. Now they're being told that possibly there's a situation with insurance. Hogwash. This all started because of a letter to the church saying that the town owns that building without the necessary knowledge. And I just think it's time now that the town works together with the people of this town, and as Mike just said, for the people of this town, and not pick on this church. And unfortunately, it's come to this point, but I give them a lot of credit to now stand up on their own. And I hope you guys all have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Anyone else on Zoom? Gary?
So
Gary Briggs, sorry, I'll announce it. Not everybody can.
in person. So where do we stand on the removal or trying to clean up that piece of property?
I think we just had a conversation where those of us who are willing to volunteer will connect directly, Mr. Mateo and I, and we can get volunteers together and we can help him clean that up.
I'd like to make an announcement when we're all done with public comment on what I'd like to see done.
Okay.
And I wanted to give public comment.
No, to be able to proceed.
Right. I wanted to give everyone a chance to speak before I
Okay.
said anything. I try to do that. Jim?
I'm really happy to hear people volunteer to get down there. I just want to be on that list as well.
Okay.
And what I would like to see, it is included on the future agendas, updates as well, so that we can stay on top of the situation.
Yeah.
Definitely put my name. I'll help out.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more comment in the room?
Volunteer. No, you're welcome to volunteer, pulling down.
Okay.
Jenny, do you have a comment or just, okay.
Volunteers.
Go ahead. Any more comments?
They had comments on something else. No, behind you.
I got one here.
Okay, sorry.
Rich Ryder again. Has the town fined him? The owner, not you, obviously.
Yes.
But has he been fined in the past? Has he paid anything? The zoning administrator, Mike, can you hold his feet to the fire on this or?
There is a fine. There is a fine against the documented property owner in the town office.
Okay, and is it like $25, 2,500?
I don't, it's a per day fine. And I don't want to get into the total amount. Rich, I don't think that's a fair thing to do. I wouldn't want to do it if it were someone else. And that's just my personal belief.
But he is being fined.
There is an active fine since the 10th of February. Is that right, So against the,
So it's almost like a lien, correct, or no?
so, yes.
Because then I'm just thinking, I don't know all the legalities of this, but how could you purchase property if there's a lien on that property?
So I don't want to get into, I don't want to get into a debate about that. That's somebody else. That's,
I can talk to you later about it.
Okay.
that's for somebody else to decide that one, not here tonight.
Okay.
And thank you for that. Is there any other comment? Sean, yeah.
I have seen new stuff being dumped there too, so I think either Willard or Patrick has been dumping more stuff there.
And that's fine. We'll see if we can address that too. Sir, in the back.
So I just want to add to what some others are saying about this defamatory article. That's principally why I came tonight. And I would just urge, if there's someone who is somehow convinced by this thing, that this is something to worry about, let's get to know each other first, rather than relying on something like that. I mean, come to some meetings, observe, or just personally get to know someone.
Simple conversation.
Simple conversations.
Simple conversation.
That's where to start.
I do appreciate, I want to say, this sense of community in this room. And I think that's pretty remarkable. There's a lot going on tonight. There's the article, there's the property, and so we have a room full of people, all of whom don't agree right now, people who've come in with some emotions, and yet we still have a sense of community that says, let's have conversations, let's work together. And that's one of the reasons why I am committed to serving this town, is because people do have conversations and people are committed to the common good. And so thank you to everyone who came tonight. I mean, it's your town.
Any more comments? Anybody on Zoom, Hannah, that would like a comment?
No.
So I heard, the defamatory comment, I'm not going to address that at all. I think we addressed it already, and that's where I'm going to leave that. The public comments on the property and the volunteers for cleanup. Jeannie has volunteered to reach out or work with the tenant of the property.
You give your email, maybe give her email.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she'll give you her email address as well. Mr. Klinger had an incredibly important point, if you ask me, and thank you for bringing that up. Next Saturday is a huge celebration, hopefully, for the town of Pownell. Right? It's our 250th celebration. There's been an incredible amount of planning that's gone into this and a lot of effort by a lot of people. I would love to organize a cleanup, and I will be at the head of that class to organize a cleanup of that property. I don't think that any of us are looking, although it would be wonderful to have the campers and all of that stuff removed. I think if we were able to get in there and remove all of the debris, for lack of a better term, I don't know what else to call it. I'm going to be honest. If we were able to organize something where we could get in there and clean up the debris along Route 7 that's visible, I think it goes a long way with everyone that's sitting in this room. I have 229 signatures. So when you say there's a sense of community and there's a sense of, most of them aren't here, I knew. It's huge. We do have a sense of community. And I think we could get that cleaned up without a lot of trouble by next Saturday, so that we do look respectable when people, and if we get 5 people, we get 5 people, but whoever comes to what's happening next Saturday right here, I think if we can make that impression, I think it goes a long way. It sounds like Mr. Mateo is willing to work with that. I will reach out to Patrick tomorrow, and because he is involved, one way or the other, right? I mean, he's officially, technically, as of right now, the court-appointed owner of the property. I will reach out to him personally tomorrow. And, we'll see where we can go with this, but I think we can make it happen. I'm incredibly confident that we as a town and community can make this happen. Sure, Rich.
Would the town be willing to provide a dump truck to put the bags of stuff in? I mean, it's fine to clean it up, but what are we gonna do with it?
Give us a couple days. to adjust.
I think, I've been sitting here thinking about this back and
Need a
forth.
couple days.
So I think I have three other board members sitting here with me right now. I think, it's up to us, but I'm gonna give one more chance for a comment back there, but it's up to us to make a decision on that. And I think right now is the time. Tonight, while you're sitting. Go that everyone right now.
Agreed.
So.
I just was gonna ask, how do we find out, where do I look to find out when this is gonna happen? How are we gonna communicate?
Good question.
I think an easy way to like communicate directly is on the town website. And we could also post. I mean, I can also put up a sign up sheet. If folks will leave their email address, phone number, we can email you directly, but we will announce this. Obviously, we're going to move quickly since we're trying to get this before Saturday. If Mr. Mateo reach out to me, if you want to text me, we'll talk and I can come out like tomorrow or Saturday and we can look around and you can sort of tell me this and not that. And then we can make this happen next week.
I might just suggest that if you posted it on Front Porch Forum, I bet you'd get 100 people there.
Brilliant. Okay.
Good
That's
idea.
a
Great idea.
Thank you.
David.
Dave Lowe, and let's not forget just conveniently that Saturday is also Green Up Day, which is a whole big state initiative, and let's play right into that and green it all up.
I agree.
Green up bags at the library that we can grab and use.
Jenny, did you have something?
Yeah, so this petition started yesterday, or at least that's when I got it.
Yeah, like Wednesday, I think.
Monday.
It
Monday.
very quickly filled up and it's with change.org, right? Is that what you use?
Yes.
Do you, I wonder if you have access to the emails of the people who signed the petition to do a direct mail to them?
I can send out a notice to everyone who signed.
Right.
Yes.
So there's
I can do that.
235 people right there.
Okay.
Do I have any more comments?
Gary had his hand up.
We're gonna continue.
Gary, did you have a comment?
I had heard that Patrick had reached out to somebody to clean it up, so I would encourage you to talk to him, see what he says.
Mike's going around.
I've heard a lot of stories.
I can't imagine he would be opposed to cleaning.
I've heard numerous stories. I do, as the zoning administrator, not as the select board chair, I do stay in contact with Patrick because he is the registered owner in the town of Pownell. So that's why I don't contact Mr. Mateo. All right. So I've heard all of those stories and I have seen nothing. So I will reach out to Patrick tomorrow. From what I'm hearing from Pennant, he's open to having the town's people and community come in and help him clean this property.
Yeah.
So at that point, I'm going to be 100% honest with you, Gary, because I don't know any other way to be anyway. Pat Gray is going to be told pretty much that we're going in there and we're going to clean it up because this is our town. He lives in Florida, Mass. He doesn't drive by there. We do. We drive by it all the time. And that's kind of my philosophy.
Neighbor asked for help.
One other thing, I might be overreacting, okay, but is it possible that when this happens, to have a sheriff there just in case there's any type of problem?
I can make that happen.
Okay.
Hold on.
Yeah.
The board, sorry.
Yeah.
This board
Yes.
can make that happen. We hire,
Just so that there is, you know.
Sorry, I didn't mean it to come out that way. This board can certainly make that happen.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yep, Mr. Mateo.
I've been working with the sheriff's department to keep
Cool.
that away, so, yeah, I don't think it's gonna be a problem there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Colby?
If, the town doesn't, the select board doesn't get the authorization or doesn't authorize the use of the dump truck, I'll volunteer my truck. Here, do a few loads.
Well,
thank you.
I am
Thank you.
available for him doing that. Not anybody else.
so I'm gonna move this along because we got a lot of stuff going on and I think we've had an incredibly great discussion here tonight. I want to thank everyone for attitudes. The way we handled ourselves tonight was great. Great. We were very professional about everything that's going on. And I just want to commend everyone for that first. I'm gonna ask the board, because the town is going to be responsible for the debris. I'm gonna ask this board that we waive any fees of stuff that gets put into the dumpsters at the transfer station.
Are you making a motion?
Is this in support of the community effort?
Community effort, that's correct.
Okay, because
That's correct. I'm gonna ask for that motion that we waive any fees involved in the community effort for the cleanup of, is it 23-25? Is that or 23-23?
23-24.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
And there's 23-23, but I can take care of it, I just barely.
Okay, I'm gonna ask that the select board waive those fees for stuff that goes to our transfer station.
I'll be happy to make the motion that the town waives the fees for any debris that goes to the transfer station as a result of the community cleanup of the property at 23-25.
I'll second that.
Have any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Just a quick question. Should I ask Tom to charge that to like the free dump day
Yes,
or green up day?
Yeah, green up.
green up day
Cleanup
probably.
day.
Kind of convenient.
I would imagine they had bags up there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'd like to ask the board for the use of and we may have to pay one of our town employees overtime if it were to happen on a day when it wasn't 7 to 3:30. Or a couple of them, if we need a couple of trucks or whatever. I would ask the select board for a motion to allow the use of the town, however many dump trucks we need, and for our town employees, because that's who we want to drive those vehicles.
Yeah, I got a question though, Mike.
Yep.
It would be, I have an insurance question. Is the community, we're just of running the trucks in support of the community effort. This is not a town sanctioned event or anything like that.
Nope.
So anything, you get hurt there, that's on you.
Yeah, it's a community effort.
And I asked Joel, I'll have Joel connect with you guys to schedule it.
Okay, so can you restate that?
I would entertain a motion for the select board to authorize our town employees, however many we need, to operate our town dump trucks
Gotcha. Yeah.
in cooperation with the community effort cleanup of 23-25.
I'll make that motion.
Good job.
I'll second that motion.
I don't have any more discussion. I think Carl has a really valid question. I think we need to just check with passive tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if there's a glitch somewhere, let's hope there's not, but that would be the only glitch at this.
Go ahead.
No.
So just in the law enforcement purposes wise, if Mr. Mateo, if this is happening, if you can ahead of time, anything that's possibly considered valuable to you, if that can be put away so that there's no debate over the property when properties and like belongings of
I'll be there, right, having.
of what is, so we can just, they can just grab and go.
I think that is a great point, Sean, is if there's something, It's not gonna happen tomorrow and it's probably not happening Saturday. It's probably gonna be, we'd like to get this done really quick. I know everyone in this room would, right?
And the second thing is, as Mr. Mateo is as he stated earlier, that's currently pending in court. Since he's the legal tenant, a tenant can have any guest that he wants on his property. So you don't have to get any permission from there.
Okay, then I probably will leave that alone. Thank you. Thank you for that. So I have a motion and I have a second. We just need to check with the insurance company, make sure we're good.
There's another thing too. If somebody did get hurt, I mean, I can't see how, but you know, some people fall, break their ankle. Is there any kind of waiver so I can't be sued or?
I will check with Bassett.
We'll check with our insurance company and I think we could probably even draft a waiver that people would be willing to sign. People want it cleaned up, Sean. They're sick of looking at it. I'm brutally honest. They're just people, I understand. And I understand you have to protect yourself. I totally get that. I have a motion. I have a second. Whoops, sorry.
Do your vote, Madam.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
One more thing. Like,
Yep.
the large gathering ordinance, maybe you need to make a motion that you're doing the large gathering ordinance. I don't know what the number of people is.
For 350.
Yeah.
If we have 350, we could almost have a special meeting. We could absolve that after.
I just want to make sure that.
If you have 350, get the hot dog stand there.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
John, thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Great night.
You too. Thanks for coming.
Walter, thank you for that point. I didn't even think of that point. That was a great point.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is a huge.
Hey, Rich.
Take care, Mike.
Okay. Approval of minutes, April 10th, 2025.
Don't move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. April 17th, 2025, special select board meeting.
Don't move.
Second.
Any corrections? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Warrants, accounts payable, April 18th, $20,712.13.
Don't move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Accounts payable, April 25th, $33,230.
Don't move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Payroll, April 18th, $11,667.89.
Don't move.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Payroll, April 25th, $10,737.10.
Don't move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Correspondence.
We have one from Ellen, our delinquent tax collector. This is to the Board of Selectmen. I'm requesting your approval to contact attorney Kevin O'Toole to start tax sale proceedings on an estimated 9 parcels. There are a majority of mobile homes in the sale. She does understand that the town of Pownell will not be a minimum bidder on these mobile homes, but she still needs to go through the process. The laws for the tax sale have changed, which has made it more difficult to do so. There were 20 parcels to start. However, with payment plans in place, the list has been reduced. So this is more of like to inform you, but she always
Yes.
approval.
FYI.
Let's make a motion to give our delinquent tax collector the approval to contact the attorney to start the process.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
tobacco and second-class license applications, and we don't have any excess weight permits.
We don't have access weight permits and I corrected the spelling of tobacco. Thank you for pointing that out to me so long later. Really sorry I messed it up. It's really bothering me now. But we have we have a catering permit for a wedding at 3369 US Route 7, Pownell. It is on June 28th, 2025 from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. They're expecting approximately 200 people. This is for catering and a liquor license for Blonde and Boozy.
Where are they based at?
Reedsboro. And there's a note just to comment that the parking, Julie's concerned about the parking because it's across the street and it's on Route 7, but that's kind of not our thing.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's their wedding.
Let me just,
Well, we don't have control over Route 7.
So just looking for approval on this catering permit.
Make a motion to approve the catering permit.
I'll second that.
any more questions? All in favor? Discussion with Todd Rich from Wireless Partners LLC.
That's me. Thank you for having me. Todd Rich from Wireless Partners. We have an application with the state of Vermont. We're a contractor with AT&T and we build cell phone towers and cell phone networks. We're a small rural carrier. We've built about a dozen towers in the state of Vermont, many in New Hampshire, many in Maine. We're working with the state and with AT&T on a program called FirstNet, AT&T FirstNet, which is essentially a program where AT&T was awarded, went out to bid to all major carriers. AT&T won the bid nationwide to create a first responders network, preemptive network in the case of an emergency, high traffic, high volume situations. The network that we're building would be solely for first responders, police, firefighters, sheriff's department, anyone that has the actual phone and SIM in their phone. So many first responders throughout the state have it. The state of Vermont has identified areas in Vermont that the state has identified as greatly needed additional AT&T coverage so that the FirstNet program more successful for the first responders. The state of Vermont had identified Pownell as an area of great concern. Route 7 in general, they've identified a bunch of traffic accidents on Route 7 over a certain period of time in an area that has poor AT&T service. We were contracted to come based on a specific location to lease land, propose a cell tower that would improve the connectivity with the current coverage that exists here today. We've done that. It's been a very long process. We've been here for over a year. We've talked to literally dozens and dozens of landowners. We've fully permitted this site, fully permitted it with the state, locally, thought we had solved this problem. At that point, the landowner that we had a contract with decided that he no longer wanted to do the project. So having completed it, thought we had checked the box for AT&T as well as the state moved on. We were sort of back to the drawing board to the point where we talked to the town. We've looked at several town-owned parcels. Every time we get a willing landlord, we also need to make sure that it works for AT&T's engineering. So in certain cases, we had landlords that weren't willing. In other cases, we had willing landlords where the engineering wouldn't work. So we've really jumped around on both sides of Route 7. We found a willing landlord. We found a site on his property that he was willing to lease us land. We proposed with the state of Vermont, we put all our permits in, which was a considerable amount of effort and time. And then we've had we have had some concerns from the town and from some of ours. So we take that very, very seriously. We know this is your town. We take our project serious and we take and we really believe in what we're doing, but we understand this is, we're here. This is not my town. So when we put a permit in front of you guys as citizens, we certainly want to try to work with you. And we're not here to just shove this down your throat or try to just kind of push it by you if there are concerns. So given that there were some serious concerns, we've gone ahead and completely redesigned. So we've made with the state who has our materials and would love the permit today, but it's going to delay us to redesign this completely. We've reduced the height of this tower substantially. We've got approvals on that reduction. We've completely changed the design and we've changed the color pattern. Now, I don't know if that's going to make everybody happy and oftentimes doesn't make everyone happy, but it's the effort we're willing to do to try to get the project pushed through and to try to make, try to move this forward. The design that we picked is the exact same height and design as the current tower that's in the town. So we kind of just said, if there's already been a tower permitted, maybe we should take a look at that and kind of go more with that design. Typically, what we do as tower developers is we design towers at 190 feet. And the reason why we do that is anything over 200 feet is automatically lit. Doesn't matter where it is. If it's 100 feet and 1 inch has to have a light. So we never want to have a light because that's obviously the visible impediment. So everything we design is 190 feet. And the reason why we do that is simply just to maximize our coverage. And obviously no one wants to look at a tower, but if you're going to look at it, you might as well just have the asset benefiting you guys as residents. If you're out chopping wood on your ATV, snowmobile, whatever, we want to maximize the coverage. So we don't want to just build this because it looks bad or it's in your way. We try to maximize the engineering coverage. We've been able to reduce that. We've minimized our coverage, but we still have coverage enough so that the tower that we're building will talk to the existing AT&T tower, which is really important engineering wise. As you're driving down the street, it's called a handoff so that you don't drop a call. So engineering wise, it was really important that we could reduce the height and still get the coverage. So I wanted to come here, answer questions. I know there's some people that are unhappy with it. We do have, my counsel here is in Vermont, every other state we ever do any businesses, I can pull permits, I can do anything with engineering drawings. In the state of Vermont, it's totally different. We have to have an attorney to do a lot of the stuff that we do. So I'm not bringing an attorney in because I'm worried about the legal aspect of it, but more so because he's an expert in the process in the state of Vermont. So Will Dodge is online here, but he has some photo sims. I just wanted to share what the tower looked like previously designed, what it would look like today, and then certainly answer any questions. I can also share a bunch of the locations we looked at. I mean, if it helps, answer any questions as to where we went. The other piece of that, I offered to, I spoke with Mike on the phone because I wanted to make sure I was on the agenda and I could be here. And way back when we had the original site permitted, I was working with some volunteer firemen and the town, and we had offered up space for the town's two-way. I was told, and we do this every town. We're just a small little company. When we build assets, we need certain locations for the cellular equipment, and there's a bunch of locations available at no charge for two-way equipment, maybe a dump truck or a school bus, or even more importantly, the sheriff's department or any sort of two-way services you may need. So we offered that up to the town, and we're still good on that. We still want to offer that up to the town. With our reduction in height from 190 feet to 120 feet, we still need to make sure we can broadcast our cellular service from that tower. But as we've offered it up,
one thing, not to interrupt you, in your train of thought, one thing that I do want to make crystal clear though, is that I was aware of your company offering stuff to the town or the fire departments well before we had a conversation.
Absolutely.
Because your first landowner is a good friend of mine, so I was
100%.
well aware of before we had that conversation. I don't want that to sound like you offered that to me to make it a selling
Yeah,
point,
so-
because I was well aware of it before we had any conversations whatsoever.
So the only reason why I bring this up, so I offered that from day one with any landowner. And then we ended up on a landowner. That landowner and I had conversations about, hey, we've got some space here. Let's solve this problem. And now with the reduction in height, we're still offering up space. It's just going to be at a lower height. And if it solves your problem, it's still available and still there. And we just do that because we're here. It's easy for us to do. And if it helps, you've got an asset and it could be a benefit to the town. But more importantly, I'm really here to just say that this is, I'm the messenger. You can shoot the messenger, but in a sense, I'm here to answer questions and understand that there are people that aren't happy with this project, but we have gone through great lengths to try to make everyone happy, and it doesn't always work, and it's nothing personal. And I'm here to,
So I think one thing that, right, the height reduction, you've dropped your height 70 feet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If I heard the numbers correctly, you've changed the color to what?
Yeah, so before it was just galvanized stainless steel, which is just easy to maintain. It doesn't rust. It is a little bit reflective in sunlight. So we're willing to paint it brown. So when I was just driving in this road, you can see the tower up on Man Hill and it kind of sticks up. It's a 120-foot tower. To me, it's not an eyesore, but you certainly know where it is and you can see it. The reason, if that was painted brown, in my opinion, it still sticks up and you still see it. The background of the site that we're building is, another 1,000 feet of earth and mountains behind it. So we feel that the color would help it blend in. And that's really the reason why we're doing it. It does require more maintenance and more costs, but again, it helps with the visual impact. And we think that's important. So that's the design change that we've made.
And I think these are all concerns that your company and AT&T or whatever heard, right?
Yeah, I mean, that we have the opportunity to try to push through with the original design. And if it was an engineering situation where we couldn't reduce it and we had to push through and the state was asking us to push through, maybe we were here trying to push that through. We didn't want that. We were able to go back and really roll up our sleeves and say, what can we do to change this, to try to help out with still get the coverage. Super important that if someone has an accident on Route 7, that cell phone works, right? So that's the biggest thing for the first responders. If they're chasing someone on a snowmobile, there's certain coverage that we want to work. So we sent that back to AT&T with the reduction and they said this, and they checked with the state and this is the coverage that they think's adequate. It still works. Another reason why the design, typically we try to, if we're going to build a big tower, you design it for other people to come along such that I leave and now someone from Verizon shows up and say, we want to put another 120-foot tower right next to his. And T-Mobile shows up and they're right next to that. In this case, in this town, it's already being serviced by T-Mobile and Verizon, and the cupolas of some barns that can't fit our equipment. And if it could fit our equipment, where our other sites are, the engineering doesn't work because they don't talk because it becomes too low. So.
Question, the tower is gonna be below the ridge line? So when you're looking at it, it will be below the ridge line?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So the ridge goes.
I understand that. I just was trying to, in my head, just to.
Yeah. In fact, our landowner is essentially looks on his deck. His land kind of goes slopes down, and he'll be looking out that to it, onto it.
No.
Yeah, I think, are you?
No, it's not true.
Well, hold on. Are you done with your presentation?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions. And we have, if you would like to see photos, if you'd like to see.
Does anybody on the board want to see photos?
I'd like to see the photo.
The new design, yeah.
Of the new design, because I haven't seen the old design.
Mr. Chair, my name's Will Dodge. I'm working with Todd a grandson of two lifelong Pownellers, so very familiar with your town. And
We've worked together on the DRB.
Exactly. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
I have a couple. I can show you briefly. I think I can share my screen if that's okay. And first, I'll show you just the design. So, what Rising Tide was originally proposing was this tower. It's as Todd explained, a lattice tower. So you can see through it, but it's kind of gray. This was at 190 feet, and then you had multiple antennas going all the way up to it, lightning rod on top. You can see the tree line there is 73 feet. What we're proposing to do now is reduce it pretty dramatically so that it's basically a slender monopole painted brown, and that includes all the antennas and the tower mounted equipment. It's still got a lightning rod on top, but it's basically 120 feet and much reduced in terms of the number.
The state
of
requires us to design it for future carriers. So that's one of the state of Vermont's requirements. So again, they don't want tower after tower after tower. So we show future carrier, but at the original design, we just have AT&T FirstNet at the top.
Question.
And I've got, let me just briefly show you, because I think this will be helpful to kind of get at what Todd was explaining before. This was a balloon test that was taken back in December. This is from Bee Hill Road. I think, wait, let me make sure that you can see that, first of all, if I share that. Can you see that okay, that picture?
Yep.
Okay. So you see in the picture, and this is hard to do because this is taken from about 1.5 miles away. And you can see in the picture, if I zoom into it, you can see where that balloon is kind of floating above above where the proposed location is on the McDonald property. And so you can see that even at 190 feet, that's where that balloon was flown. It's not going to go stick up the ridge line. But in the original proposal we did, this is kind of what the tower would look like from that location. So sticking up pretty far, but still helped by the fact that it's got this background. But in the new simulations, when you were at 120 feet, what that tower looks like is it's barely, and it's tough to see because it's so far away, but it's barely peeking up against the trees, and you have those arrays of antennas all painted brown.
So, Will, the question, sorry to interrupt, but the question is where that photo is from, and I believe you said Bee Hill Road.
I think it's true.
Correct.
I think it did have Bee Hill Road on the bottom. I saw it.
Coordinates.
Yep.
Will and I don't do this, so the engineering firm has to do this because again, we're in Vermont and you have to have a license. So you can see that they give you the GPS coordinates and the distance, the bearing that we're looking, the distance from the actual site. In the case that there's historical properties or something in the town, sometimes they make you take pictures from certain locations. So these aren't arbitrary all the time. It's often from the direction of the state.
Here's another one, just kind of show you from Route 7. This is about almost 2 miles out, or it's a 1.75 miles out. This is tough to see again because that balloon is very distant from this location, but still it's a location that I think the town and others have expressed concern about because of this, the scenic nature of this section of the highway. So with the original proposal, you would have certainly seen that tower. It would have been distant, but it's sticking up quite a bit. And with the new design, basically, it's almost impossible to see. I mean, you could see it there only because your eye is going to be drawn to something that looks like a graphic. But basically, for most of the year, you won't see it at all. And even in the winter, unless you're really closely looking for it and know it's there, you're not going to see it.
Can I interrupt now?
Sure. Yeah. Hold on 1 second, Will. Can you just state your name, please?
My name is Tanya Hart. I'm the abutter to the location where this is proposed. I'm having a hard time listening to this. I'm very emotional. So please bear with me. I'm going to try to be very
for sure
cordial. Our experience of this tower and our view of this tower is being completely ignored. And even in discussing how this looks to the rest of the town, that's very nice for the town. But the town is all its people, and it's not just one, and I really don't think that one resident should carry the entire burden of this for the town. I think as a community, we all should carry this burden of a tower, and we should all work together to find a place that works for, most people. This does work for most people. However, aside from it being visible or not visible, or how I feel about it, it does violate zoning. There is a telecom bylaw in place. It says the towers cannot be 20 feet above the trees. This is more than 20 feet above the tree canopy. The town select board is responsible for upholding zoning bylaws to protect the people, their safety, their properties. And I just ask that the town please uphold your bylaws that are in place. This is very emotional for me. I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep it together, but we moved here 3 years ago, with 2 young boys, and we picked Pownell because it's beautiful. And we worked very hard and put our life savings into our home. And we knocked down trees and have a stunning view of your town. And it's very peaceful to us. And if I have to sit at my dining room table and look out my window at a tower, which I do because there's no photos to represent my view and my experience of this tower, it's out of every window in the front of my house. Every single window, it's from my deck and my fire pit and my yard and where I play catch with my boys is inescapable for our family. It will completely destroy what we fell in love with about our property. So again, aside from what everyone else can see, this is our experience. And I really, really respectfully ask the select board to uphold their bylaws.
Is there any photos from, well, we obviously didn't walk on the Hart's property, but is there anything close to it? Because.
And I also want to say, I'm sorry, I just have one more thing to add. When the balloon test was done, I took pictures all over the neighborhood because it was done at a time where people are at work and no one's around. I drove to the neighbor's house, the landowner were putting the tower in on the store, so the balloon was up. He wasn't home, I called him, he was in Florida. She lives most of the year, barely in town. I could not see the balloon except for the bottom of his driveway, and that was when it was 190 feet. So at this point, there's no way he can see it from his property. And I would like to see a photo.
Yeah, no, it's definitely visible. I mean, I don't, certainly not here to argue with residents of the town. And I understand.
We're not here to argue, but I'm just.
We know that the Harts were more than willing to offer up several locations on their land. It didn't work. It was after we offered to originally work with them, they weren't interested. And then when we went to McDonald's, they did offer several locations. We tried to make them work, but we also have a contract with Mr. McDonald. AT&T did not like the Hart site for coverage wise. The town has tons of mountains and ridges and valleys, so in Vermont in general has some challenges with cellular service because of the lay of the land where it's not a flat state. So every time we move it a couple hundred yards or lower it 50 feet, the coverage changes substantially. So we certainly have to, the goal is to provide coverage.
I can certainly attest to one thing for sure. Fire service, radios, radio communication within the fire service and rescue in the town of Pownell is absolutely horrific. Okay, I was that chief officer for a long time trying to
10 years on rescue and we would have problems.
Yeah, so
big parts of Pownell that you couldn't talk from.
So when we talk about that, do you guys have and I'm asking the sheriff's department because they're still here. Do you guys have radio communication problems in Pownell in certain locations? And DSP, and that's coming from Officer Legacy, who is in Pownell all of the time working down here. He's one of our deputies that's here on duty.
The biggest problem is in the valley in Pownell Estates and Green Mountain.
And it's not a huge hole, but it's a hole nonetheless. And it's by the S turns coming into town by, when you go, yeah, and.
Can I ask a couple questions? Please?
Sure.
Just two things.
Sure. Just say your name, please, Vince.
Vince,
and
you know,
start.
but just so everybody's aware, I have a camp above Kindness
We
property.
spoke, did we speak on the phone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At 190 feet, definitely in front of me. That 120, I can't say for sure. Okay, I can't say it's right outside the window, and it's ridiculous. Sorry, but the other thing is, as far as the communication network for you answered half of the question I had. I talked to Craig Odell on 2 occasions. For those of you who don't know, he's been a first responder down South Pownell for a number of years. Rescue squad, fire department. He told me he has no issues. So I don't know. I shouldn't say I don't understand, but so apparently this, you guys are up here, whatever, you're in 2 separate places, and you're saying you do have issues.
I can name you, Vince, I can name you 20 places in this town. Right.
I believe you, but what I don't
I
understand
understand.
is he's down there, he says he doesn't have it, he has had, Craig, he tells it like it is. So, I don't understand the science of, or not science of.
Well, you're talking to a rescue ambulance guy, is that, or a firefighter? Is that? Because we're building, so we're willing to help, and when we build this asset, you get a location free of charge for as long as it's there to help with your two-way. We're building cellular for the state, which is AT&T FirstNet, and that definitely has a hole, and I mean, that's not even arguable at that point. For the cellular.
But for the purpose of putting that tower down there, I would assume from what I read in the petition was to cover from Route 346 down to Simons Road in Williamstown. Is that correct? That's what it said on the petition.
Well, it doesn't anymore, but no, so it has nothing to do with covering any part of Massachusetts or Williamstown.
Right, okay,
Yeah,
that's fine, I wouldn't.
and I don't know the name of the roads because I'm not a local, but certainly.
Right, but
at the time, it may have covered that far.
Right, but the purpose, right, okay, it stated from 346 south.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't understand why it included Massachusetts either.
Yeah, it's probably just, I mean,
Right.
there's.
So we're talking about that specific area, so which says to me, is that, would that actually help you up here? I don't know. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me.
It wouldn't help
us up here, it's the whole.
Well, I don't understand, and I'm not gonna sit here and claim to understand how they work, right? And I don't have AT&T, I have Verizon. Okay? But I know that when I drive from Bennington to Pownell with Verizon, on Bluetooth, I never talk on my phone while I'm driving. So, there's certain areas where I lose coverage, and there's a Verizon tower on Carpenter Hill. There's one on Mount Anthony. There's one on Man Hill. I believe there's one on, I believe it's a Verizon tower on, up near Crow Hill, actually.
The farm is.
Yeah, the Man Hill one.
Mary, yeah.
Yours is, you bought the Harsh property from Mary?
The Harsh Mary,
Yes.
Mary Anderson property.
So there's a Verizon tower on your property now.
They're disguised, that was a part of the.
I understand that, but there is a Verizon tower there. So my point was, I think when you drive, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a cell tower or not a cell phone expert, but you switch from tower to tower to tower as you drive or move through your location or wherever you're moving through, right?
And where you said that other site is lacking that AT&T service.
So I think, Vince, to answer your question, so the AT&T tower on Man Hill doesn't have another tower to communicate with in that corridor of Pownell. It has AT&T, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, because I'm not an AT&T guy, okay? But I believe there's AT&T towers from Man Hill north in several different places. And I think one of those might even be on Tower Road on Carpenter Hill, right? I don't know that.
Yeah, and so I believe you're right. Most of the cellular providers, if you see a tower, they're all on the same tower.
A lot of them are, that's right.
Right, and so like, my AT&T coverage is similar to your Verizon coverage, then it just becomes the 10 feet. You're a little higher on that tower, I'm a little higher on the next tower, where on this, there isn't any. Now people say, oh, my T-Mobile, my Verizon works there. Well, the state of Vermont told AT&T to build FirstNet. FirstNet has responsibility to build this for the state of Vermont. State of Vermont is going to AT&T saying we want Pownell. I see that as a good thing for your town because they see this as a need. And a lot of towns I go into, people are saying, how do I get AT&T to have a need in my town? We need the service. So it's a lot easier when they see it as a need. They're willing to invest the money.
Personally, I feel FirstNet should be available on all cell services.
That's a whole. You can call.
That's just my.
You can call Washington, but they all had a chance to bid on it, and some people never even went in the.
I know.
But yeah, in the state of Vermont, so then all 49 states were thinking one way, and Vermont was thinking another. You got shocked here, no?
Oh.
But so then Vermont has like its own independent telephone guys, so they were going to just go with them, which would have been the state just giving someone local a bunch of money to do something, but. At the end of the day, AT&T won the bid, and now the state is pushing pressure on AT&T to solve their problems.
So won the bid, they want you to fix it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing. The state's saying, hey, fix this, fix
I'm
it.
going to ask Carl a question, because I think he's up on this a little bit more than I am. Tanya brought up a point about the zoning regulations. I think in the telecommunications world, for lack of a better term, I think the state supersedes our zoning regulations. Is that correct?
I believe so.
I believe
Because the zoning
Do you know that answer, Will?
Better check on that.
Yeah, the way that it works is that ultimately the Public Utility Commission is going to decide the case, and the ordinances, they'll look at that and they'll look at what the town says about it, but they'll also look at the overall big picture here. And if I could just offer briefly kind of an explanation of like, why are we still not only 20 feet above the trees? The main reason, and we'll be prepared to show this to the PUC when we go there, is that that's going down too low. We basically end up with the same, we can't solve the gap if we're down that low. So we can get to 120 feet. But the other thing that I would point out is that 20-foot rule was passed in Pownell, like it was in many towns throughout the state, back in 2001, 2002 timeframe. And if you think about it, one of the many things that we did not have in 2001, 2002 were these guys, were smartphones, right? The technology and the ordinance were definitely moving at very different paces. And so what worked well, or what worked suitably in kind of like the 2G cell world, is not suitable or doesn't always translate over to when we get to the point where we're at 4G and 5G technology. The other issue is the setback that's been in the town ordinance almost for about as long, right? That says that you've got to be, the height of the tower away, was based on a concern about the tower falling over onto another property. The way that we've designed or redesigned this tower, and again, this will all be presented for the PUC and reviewed by the Department of Public Service, is that it's manufactured with a break point, so that if, right, you've got the state building code standard that basically says for a tower, you have to assume like a 1 second, or is a 1 second gust of over 120 miles an hour. That's what the tower's built for. But if we got something like a hurricane where you've got gusts in excess of that, the idea is the tower would break over onto itself. So that point that's kind of in the middle of it means that you'll never, even kind of in a worst case scenario, that tower won't fall over onto another property. It's basically going to bend, or if it breaks, it's going to break into the compound itself. So that's how we're proposing to address those ordinances.
Just it's a little technical for sure.
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I have, Tanya, sorry, I apologize, I just didn't catch your name. I do have a question for you. I'm curious, and it's based on something that you had said. It's like, how close to your home is the tower? So the tower is 600 feet from your home? Yes.
I was gonna ask the town if anyone has been to our property.
I was wondering the same thing. You should see it.
I know, I know the property extensively, both pieces.
Have you visited it in the last 3 years?
Yes, I was up there.
My property, my house.
Mhm.
Visited
Yeah,
my
so-
house.
Now, I didn't go into your house.
Those are her photo sims too, like, so she submitted photo sims that she made up that were not professionally done. So please, we also need,
Have updated photos.
so we don't
Hold on, I'm not gonna argue.
No, I'm not arguing.
I understand.
Yes, you do.
She had asked a question to me while you were speaking.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Bridget.
My husband and I both have art backgrounds, we're both graphic designers, we both have experience with computers and renderings and things like that, my husband does that for a living. Nobody came to look at the balloon test in person. It was terrifying, I would like a new balloon test, but that's conversation for another day. Even at 120 feet, it's still inescapable, as I said. I would like to invite the select board to come to the property, to experience it for themselves, to see what it would be like. And I need you to see the topography. It's very unique. And where the tower is gonna go, there's actually a ridge behind it that's very high. And it doesn't make any sense. Put the tower where it is, and we are happy to compromise if the landowner would like to put the tower on the other side of that ridge, which brings it closer to Route 7. Then it could be almost any height you want it to be at that point. If you guys are gonna approve anything, I mean, it just doesn't make sense for it to be behind something that's so tall and then that location doesn't make any sense. He has 49 other acres, including the other side of that ridge, so it just seems like you could put it on another spot.
Is there a reason that doesn't work?
So when we find a willing landowner and AT&T says yes to a design, then we work with the landowner to just put it where they would rather have. I mean, they don't.
He doesn't want to see it.
No, he can see it perfectly fine from where it
If
is.
he looks backwards, right, his front view it's not there.
I would just. He's got 180 degree.
I don't want to get into an argument. We're not going to.
No,
Because we're not,
I will say this, I have not seen it, and you're asking a select board member to come out. I do think if you've seen it, I just haven't been there. If you want to give me your address, I will come to the house and take a look.
It's,
Can I ask you a question? Let's say the select board completely disagreed with the placement. We have sent a letter to the PUC, correct? Is there anything more that the town can do? I mean, you're not approving or denying this permit.
right,
The PUC is going to make that decision. So I just want to make that clear because I feel like a lot of the pressure is being put on you guys, like you're making a decision here, but you're not. You have written a letter to the PUC and sort of done what you can. Is there more that they can do that you're
No, I'm
aware of?
asking us for the select board to continue to take that stance that they're supporting the bylaws. And just continue that.
we look at our ordinances about the town
That's right,
plan.
it's not up to you to decide on the tower, the state will do that.
Right, I just wanted to.
Uphold the bylaws.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear.
That's
But we could still, per our town plan and our ordinances and bylaws, we could still write a letter in favor or not per what we have set in our town.
Hannah, that's up to that.
And there's also a hearing and the town of Pownell was listed as a party for the hearing. So you guys will kind of probably have to decide which stance you are taking if you want somebody to represent the town in that part or in that hearing.
Mr. Chair, can I just respond to that briefly?
Yes.
That's on Monday morning. That's just a status conference. It doesn't actually, it's not at a point where the town is required to take a position and can wait based on whether we're allowed to amend our petition once those new materials come in, some of the materials that we've shown you tonight and some of the other things. The town could take a position at that point once all of that material is in, and once the Hearts and any others have had an opportunity to respond to it.
Yeah, so we're still in the process of amending it from 190 to the 120 with the new design. This is all happening.
The hearing is you amending your permit from 190 to 125.
Correct, based on the comments that we got from the town and from the Hearts and from this gentleman as well. There was 3 comments and we took them all back to the design board. I mean, you know, and not that this is your problem, but like I said, we had a fully permitted 190-foot tower, really close, and not a single person in this town cared. No one cared. No one showed up. 190 feet. We had it. We were all set. The landlord decided that it wouldn't work for him, but it's a lot taller than 120. And now we've, you know, this is our 3rd design and our 3rd.
But that was a whole different piece of property.
Correct.
So now that you're in a different piece of property.
Correct.
There's
more, there's.
Obviously, it's a contentious situation.
Well, it's always, and again, when there's a lot of people in this town, most people don't care. Obviously, if you're in a butter, it's more concerning to someone next door than it is to someone on the outside of town, so.
Yeah. This is not on our property. I don't even know if we'll be able to see it from the property. We'll do that, so that was our property. We have down, say, like, here's the right through the AT&T. The one thing that kind of concerns me, he's already said the existing businesses are not active. This will be the first one, right?
Well, we're designing it the same as the existing tower in town.
This will be the first one, so I think that it might be a good idea to think about where's this going? This is the first one. That's gonna be taller. Maybe there's nothing that can be done about that. We looked real carefully at ours to make sure that they couldn't expand upwards. The barns that we had, as far as we can tell, they couldn't. I think they could put AT&T equipment in. It doesn't work for their purposes, but that itself would be a pain because we'd have a lot of people on the property doing that kind of work. But I guess I'm just inviting you all to think about, I assume there'll be a regular AT&T service also on this tower. That's the FirstNet.
That is correct.
Yeah, so this is AT&T also able to expand. I'm on AT&T.
So it's AT&T 365, 24/7 until there's a major catastrophe. And then it becomes the first.
It's a way in, and it's the first step in basically trying to
get more towers.
Suggest that the ordinances that exist are inadequate, that we're gonna have to have taller towers, and you know. I'm just saying that as a new Vermonter who shares her love of the beauty of the place, I just would invite you to be really, really cautious thinking about what are the long-term effects of approving this one? When will the next one come? And what will the size of that be? When we have 6G or 8G or whatever, you know, like, something to think about.
Do we approve, or do we have approval authority on the cell tower?
No.
That's ultimately the Public Service Board makes that decision. Am I correct?
Right. The Public Utilities Commission makes that determination.
And I do want to add, because you make a very good point, that you've got an ordinance that says 70 feet that doesn't work for any cell phone company, right? So then, because I go in these towns all the time and people are constantly trying to amend the ordinance to allow for the service because the residents want it. But all we're doing is designing it the exact same as the existing tower right there. When we walk out this door and we look up and you see that thing spinning, that's all we're doing is saying someone had to approve that 120.
Well, it's not outside somebody's window.
It's in someone's yard. Someone's looking at that. I drove right up to it. Someone lives there. So, however,
That doesn't really matter.
it's 600 feet from, it's less than 600 feet from a residence where she's 600 feet away. So I totally get it. It's emotional, but all we're doing is taking a design that exists that was approved.
But there also is a bylaw in place.
And someone got approvals with that bylaw. So all we're trying to do is ask for the same approvals that the person on man.
I don't know what the bylaws were then.
Yeah, I don't either.
I really, because they've been changed since then. None of us were on the select.
I know in 2001. Yeah, we don't know, but
I don't know what they were. There may not have even been, there may have been absolutely nothing when the initial towers in town were were approved. I can't answer that question.
Right.
And
It doesn't, excuse me, but it doesn't really matter because the way the bylaws are written now and this case with this tower is what we're focusing on.
so
The precedent has been set.
there has been a precedent set. I agree with that. But what I will also say is that the way the bylaws, and I don't have them in front of me, right? But no, I think they say 20 feet above the highest tree, right? Who determines which one of the trees is the tallest?
The tree can't be.
So who determines that? I'm willing to bet there's some trees down there that are close to 100 feet tall.
Well, you haven't visited my property, so if you.
I'm talking about the general area,
No,
right?
and I agree with you, and that's also a gray area, because if you count the elevation of the mountain that's next to it and all the trees that go up there.
Right.
You know, they're saying from the elevation where it's sitting at its base, and that's based on their design, they're saying from the base, the tree canopy 20 feet above that.
Yeah, so who determines that?
They did.
Oh, right, I'm not gonna go down there and measure the tree, right? And so I don't, there's a lot of questions, right, that need to be answered. I think that sitting here on this board, I hear everything that you're saying about your property. I hear every bit of it. But I also think that we have to think about a lot of things, not just one. We have to sit here, and unfortunately, whatever decision, we're not making a decision really.
Right.
Whatever determination we come up with, we're the bad guys, no matter what. But we also have to think about what's best, like I said earlier, for the entire town. Is a cell tower down there the best thing for emergency responders? Is it the best thing for our sheriff's department? Is it the best thing moving forward for someone who has an emergency that can't get a hold of whoever? I've been that person. I've been that first responder who has had a portable radio in my hand. I had a truck radio in my truck that was a 40 or 60 watt. I don't remember because it was a while ago. I've had that radio in my truck. I've had a portable radio in my hand that was a 5 watt. And when you're screaming for help, there is no feeling in the world that's worse than that. There is nothing.
No end.
Am I wrong? There's no feeling in the world that when you're looking for more fire trucks, you're looking for an ambulance, you're looking for an extrication crew, you're looking for a search and rescue. I can go on and on and on and on and on of calls that I went on as fire chief for 20 something years. And not all of them were that situation, but there was plenty that were.
I agree with you wholeheartedly that safety is important.
Mhm.
We're not saying no towers at home. We're asking for another location.
I understand, Tanya, and I sympathize for sure,
Because if you look around town, there's a lot of mountains, there's a lot of land, there's a lot of spaces. These have been here about a year. That's not that long. They're a big company. I'm gonna live the rest of my life here. So maybe another year for them to look around for another plot isn't that much to ask. And it's gonna be the rest of my life and my experience and my value of my property.
And I'm pretty positive. I'm not pretty positive. I'm 100% positive that. But I apologize. I can't remember the name of your company now, Todd. But whatever.
As partners.
I'm 100% positive that they certainly have heard the concerns. They've gone back and redesigned, which isn't, I'm sure is not cheap. I'm sure, and it's a big company. I get it. But they have certainly gone back and.
We're actually a small little company, but we work for big companies. Well, because when I come in with AT&T, I mean, there's 6 of us. We work out of Portland, Maine. We wear a bunch of hats. I'm on the job site. I'm in here in town. It's a Thursday night. I mean, we are actually a very small company.
We're a very small company too. My family.
Totally get it. I
All of our
get it.
savings into our home.
No, I totally
And
understand that.
you have more money in your company than I do in mine.
No, I totally
But
understand.
I think they've certainly tried pretty diligently, because this has been a while since we came, like 3 or 4 months ago, I think, right?
Have you seen other surveys that they've done in town?
No.
Well, we don't just survey all the lot. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it before we survey. There's, you
So
know,
you've seen the list and approved that there's explorations of other properties.
here's.
I know of several personal ones for sure.
We'll just.
Don't know if you guys can see the screen, but I think these are some of the, you know, the properties that were looked at most intensively by wireless partners
And I'm
over
sure there's
time.
And the problem, a lot of them are landlocked, some landlords aren't interested, you know, all the concerns that Ms. Hart has, there's sites where there's 3 Ms. Harts on each side, and so, you know, we do not just come in here and do not just put stuff lightly. We take serious consideration before we do that.
Then I would like to know why if we get to our property during the building fix and took photos from our property to share with the town. We were responsible for that and we were completely ignored throughout the entire process. So if you're taking our complaints or concerns seriously, then I would like the town to come. I would like.
Yeah, so.
I would like site visits and experiences.
At the time of the site, at the time of photo sims, we're not even acknowledged to the town that the project's going on. We're literally doing due diligence, producing construction drawings and deliverables to see if the project can happen, to actually apply for permits. So when you get to that point and it becomes public information, that's when the forum of the balloon test and stuff. Now, we don't have permission to go on every resident's lawn. I mean, that's private property. And like I said, the state, after the fact, I called her several times. She didn't call me back. She has 100 acres. We were trying to work with her. The second her neighbor with 50 acres had the site, she was more than willing to put not 1, but 2 towers.
That's not true. That's true.
That's 100% true. She said we could put 2 smaller ones versus the 190.
Excuse me, if we're gonna keep this cordial.
Do we have a?
That is not
I have that in
true.
writing. Yeah, I've got all of it in writing.
Yes, I have a text and email
Yeah,
history and I.
but
100%
the thing is-
that's not true. I asked the neighbor and he lied to my face because we had many
The
conversations.
neighbor's not here, so we're not gonna bring the neighbor into the conversation. But hold on, stop, right there, stop, right there. So I've heard 2 conflicting reports. I hear one that we have a email or text message chain.
It doesn't matter, I keep it.
Hold on. I'm talking now, right? We gave you, that, a few minutes ago. So, and you're claiming that there isn't any back and forth conversation about offering a place on your property for tower.
No, she said not to.
Not to?
To what?
Did you actually offer property?
I offered him to come to the property and I never came and surveyed. Because I thought if we could at least have control over where the tower goes and it's not in our sight line, that we could put it on some other part of the property.
Okay.
I totally understand that.
They asked for
thought
coordinates
process.
and I kept saying, well, give me something to go on because we have 166 acres. I don't know where you want to put it. I don't know anything about this. So I gave them 2 coordinates. They said they don't work. I said, well, you're welcome to come. We signed a contract with them saying they are allowed to enter the property to survey, and they never came.
So all true, all true. So we called her, wanted to do due diligence on the property. She never called. She was not interested.
After the contract?
After the neighbor signed a lease with us, and at the time we were permitting the neighbor site, she then knew about it when she was then all in to control the property. And at that point, we brought coordinates to AT&T and decided, well, if she's going to be really upset about this, let's see if we can make it work on her
And
property.
I'm still open to it.
And so we couldn't get the engineer.
I got it, Carl. I got it.
So anyways.
This
is going way beyond.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Right, we got a lot of stuff to go on here tonight. This is beating a dead horse.
Well, no,
I'm concerned.
But this doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about. I mean, it does you two. But we're here at a hearing, not.
We're not even at a hearing. This is not a hearing.
Everybody to.
This is not a hearing.
Well, excuse me.
The discussion.
It's a discussion.
Okay.
I more or less wanted to come to give you guys full transparency of the project and not hide in Portland, Maine and not answer Tanya's questions or not sit here in the room and answer your questions. So
I think,
that's why I'm here.
I heard that you're willing to do a site visit.
Yep. Can I have your address or you can give?
316.
Okay.
Could I just ask, maybe it would make sense to talk to Bruce McDonald, because it sounds like there's other sites on his property that would work.
No, that, we negotiated
You
with.
said earlier that was the site he showed.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to see it. He doesn't want it anywhere where he's gonna see it.
Are you around, Tanya, are you around tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, I'll,
Like any landowner with 50 acres, you always want to put something in a spot where you might use the rest of your land or you have other uses. So he has made a decision as the owner of that property to put it in a corner, but it's not, it is visible to him and it's not tucked completely in the corner. It could be pushed more into the corner, but he wanted it in a certain location. That location worked for us. He was a willing landlord. It provides the coverage.
It sounds to me like you could put this tower within 130 feet of the property line and you're within your scope of what the actual, right, because the tower has to have room to fall within the.
So if we move this 20 more feet.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, then it would.
You could get, you're 600 feet, give or take now from.
According to Tanya, which I believe her.
Right, and I believe you, Tanya, if they're 600 feet.
Which is a good bit of ways. I mean, it's not.
So if they're 600 feet from from the property line now, what I'm hearing though is you could move that tower to within 130 feet because it's 120 foot tall, or you could move it to 122 feet. And that tower, if it fell over, it's still not you're still within the scope of
your bylaws.
Of our bylaws, right?
Did that.
Not with height though.
What's that?
So the height issue.
There is a Telecom Act, which is basically states that height is not an issue when it comes to engineering because the state, the federal government understands that cell towers need height.
And it's in the bylaws.
I don't disagree with that, for sure. I think our town bylaws have been antiquated on that for a while. So, so I think that's a certain, issue that needs to be addressed. But I'm not gonna address it here tonight. Do I have anything new from anybody? Todd, Will, Tanya, and I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Ty, okay. I think I did catch it, I just forgot, sorry. And I know.
Well, that's because I'm saying Todd when I say Ty anyway.
Yeah, no, I got that difference and I know Vince, so.
The only thing from the conversations that I've taken in, but it doesn't sound like AT&T or whoever wants to take and even consider it, is to look at a spot on their property.
Well, do you want Bruce to come down here and tell you how he feels? I have a contract with a resident of your town. I have a legal obligation for another resident of your town.
I understand that, and that's why I say that.
Yeah, so, and that's approved by my vendor, so it becomes a legal issue at that point, and at which point I called her and she never called me back. I don't know what to say.
Can you clarify what you mean by that?
I don't want to. We're not gonna, I think we're good. I think we're good.
Yeah.
And I think we're gonna move on.
Yeah.
I think we've heard, I think we've heard everything that we need to at this point. I think Jeannie's gonna do a visit.
I will, you bet.
Really appreciate all of your time, and we understand that this is a complicated issue, but the lines are open if you have questions or other things you'd like us to consider, at least as we're working through the PUC system.
Yeah, we are more than willing to answer questions, to be available. It's not, I didn't need to come. I showed up because we wanted to be transparent. We believe in the project and we think it would be beneficial to the town. If it gets permitted, we are here with a $0 lease the next day saying, can we help you guys out? And if it doesn't, then, we're right back there. We're not going away, right? So we're going to be here working with you guys and trying to solve your problems.
Somewheres.
Yeah.
Thank
you for your time.
Thank you for sitting through the
Thank you.
long beginning.
That's fine. Good luck with the celebration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
Okay, Pownell Youth Sports request for field upgrades, discussion and possible action.
Okay, forgive me, this has been a bit long meeting already.
I know, sorry.
I have met with Colby, who is here, and Jen, and I just have some formalities to sort of discuss with the board quickly. So the Pownell Youth Sports has requested some upgrades to the field. And after hearing their requests and some other things, I met with the insurance provider, who then sort of said, ooh, we need a written agreement, even though that is something we were kind of hoping we could avoid, because verbal is great and we have a great relationship with Pownell Youth Sports. However, for insurance purposes and even grant purposes, that ownership of the field has to be defined, and the agreement would define who carries insurance and all those things. It would also define who is responsible for upgrading bleachers and dugouts and fencing. We also got an estimate for moving the line back, having our contracted I'm looking for, of Gardner's Lawn Care. They provided us an estimate to bring the line back and cut the brush on the neighbor's property, not the neighbor's property, but bordering the neighbor's property. And that was an estimate of $2,500. The parking lot, we thought would be a quick, easy, the town crew can put a parking lot in, not so much. We need to do permitting, the size of the parking lot they want. It will cost quite a bit of gravel. So there's costs associated. So with all of that said, my request is to work with the LCT and our lawyer to do a final approval of an agreement, to meet with Pownell Youth Sports to try to hash out this agreement and then come back to the board once we have a legal formal agreement. And then I know Parks and Rec is really hoping to purchase the sign with this fiscal year's budget. I'm willing to help them do that, but I'm not sure that we have even named the field. So I'm not sure on that part of it.
Well, I think based on other issues, we certainly need to have an agreement about ownership. It's responsible.
Yes. Does it not?
Right, and I think there's.
Best interest of both parties.
Right, I think there's a lot of things going on here. I think upgrading the parking lot, I think it probably is needed, but I think we got a drainage problem. Okay, because if you raise the parking lot, you're not raising it above Route 346, but you're gonna raise it up where all the water's gonna go to the dugout in the field area. And until you do something with that, raising the parking lot is probably not one of the better ideas. Because now the kids can wear slimmies while they're playing baseball.
I mean, the permitting and everything is.
That's right.
It's all costly. So the idea is that possibly we could apply for grant funding, and Jen does have a grant in mind. But before we can even go there, we need this.
Gotta have the other.
So I think we're at a crossroads here on this one, and I think we just need to come back with some.
But yeah.
But do we,
But I'm just looking for approval to
have an agreement.
start on agreement and to work with Pownell Youth Sports and Jen to sort of, to do this.
Mike, may I speak to the?
Sure.
So the parking lot in between the sheds, we don't wanna per se raise it, just make it a gravel area.
Well.
Yeah, it's
kind of keep it,
not
you know,
that
dig
easy.
it out 6 inches. Joel was talking, digging it down 6 inches.
I talked with Joel about this. I think there's a lot of issues by digging that out and a lot of things that you gotta go through, not just dig the grass out and the sod, right? You gotta dig safe it, you got wires buried in there.
I have checked with the contractor that installed that years ago.
But you still got.
Says they are 18 plus inches, but.
Still need dig safe.
Yeah, until you get in there with an excavator and you got 2 foot wires, and now you're running conduit and you got an electrician and you got a whole ordeal. Yeah.
The biggest.
I can tell you they're 24 inches deep, you gonna believe me?
Shit. Wait until I see it.
Yeah.
The biggest concern that we have is the encroachment of the shrubbery on the line, and then the the safety and insurance of the grandstands.
So even when you talk about the bleachers,
Bleachers,
whose responsibility is it to fix those bleachers? They do need to be upgraded. I don't know. Is it the town's job to pay the 5,000 plus to replace bleachers? Or not? I don't know. That's totally up to the board.
I gotta be honest with you. I mean, I'm sitting here at this point right now. I spent a huge portion of my younger life on that field between the years that I played and the years that I coached Hannah, which was a significant portion of my younger years. I coached baseball right up through 2011 when my son graduated from school. So I gotta tell you what, if we got a set of bleachers down there because it is town property and those bleachers are not safe, we need to go get them out of there.
They're not safe. We need fencing on the backside and on the sides. Anything over 30 inches needs a railing.
It needs a railing. So they're not safe. So I think that this town, we needed to have our road crew or whoever, I hate putting stuff on Joel's shoulders. We need to get those bleachers out of there, and people, when they come to watch the game, they sit in a chair and they bring their own chair.
You could also take fencing, chain link fencing, and wrap the backside for the last like the top three.
Yeah.
Benches.
But are the seats safe? Is the seating area safe?
Everything does look like it's sound. It's like still holding up. It's just the insurance said anything over 30 inches.
So I mean, look, I ran that thing, Colby, forever. I ran 3 teams down there, and you know what? We did stuff ourselves. If you need railings on those bleachers, you can get a bunch of parent volunteers, put railings up. Or get them out of there.
We're trying.
I understand that. How many kids you service in baseball?
This year, we're maybe 35.
How many kids you service in soccer?
10.
Okay. So your parent volunteer
Small pool.
is it exactly pretty small pool.
I've had 2 field days that were beautiful days, and I had maybe 2 parents show up.
Welcome to my world, bud.
Yeah, it's really.
I brought equipment. I brought trailer after trailer after trailer load of equipment down there, tractors and dump trailers and bucket loaders and whatever.
So is there?
Do we have a timeframe that we have to get that done for the bleacher?
Not necessarily. Our insurance just like as soon as possible.
Okay, I didn't know, if you do, I have to have inspections, and they're like, oh, you got 6 weeks to get it up to code. I just was curious.
No, it's not.
I think that needs to be done. I think that needs to be done before you use them.
So.
Is there an issue with removing them? So I presume you were serious when you suggested that bringing.
Is it just putting chain link up to keep people from going underneath it?
It needs a railing of some.
It needs a railing around the
off.
Oh, the back.
Come off
The back
or the
and
side.
The top like 3 benches are over 30 inches.
Yeah.
Anything over
Because of
30
the height
inches
of-
needs a railing.
It's a side rail or a back.
Just like a rental property.
Like a rental property.
Just like a rental.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Anything over 30, I mean, we talked about it at the transfer station too with the step up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I've been
Anything over 30 inches needs a railing.
in the 30 inches and above.
Well, I heard you say that one of the things that you were most concerned about was the overgrowth along the southern and easterly boundaries.
Yes.
Okay. And I think there was an estimate for 2,500. I think it was not to exceed 2,500. Is that what it says? I don't even know for sure.
It does not say not to exceed. It says baseball field, Route 346, property line cleanup, remove brush trees and preparing the area to be seeded. This includes removal of all the brush from the job site for 2,500.
Okay.
And, that's one estimate, and then the parking lot is a whole nother.
The parking lot's a whole ordeal, if you ask me, because the first thing you gotta do is you gotta figure out what you're gonna do with the water, because
I think
what's the sense of making the parking lot the same height as the
that's something
grass?
that if we can get grant money to do on the parking lot.
I even think maybe the property line cleanup, I'm sorry to say that, but
Oh,
it's kind of
I was-
a chunk of money and
I was trying to give them something, but not
I know.
everything on, because it's
I wasn't
hard.
gonna do the sign. Jen agreed to pay for the sign, but I don't know.
The first step is you need to get this agreement
Right.
Correct. And we
I guess-
get it drafted so we can review it.
Yes.
Okay, so that's, that, and what you're
That's what
asking is for us to approve the agreements. Okay.
To approve the agreement,
Working
approve,
on an
approve
agreement.
Tara, approve Tara to work on the agreement.
Yes.
I make the
Just so
motion that we
it's-
approve Tara to work on the agreement.
I second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
I will be in touch.
And we'll go from there.
I need your phone number. You don't just write it down for me here, would
You
you?
can write it on that notebook if you want.
Yep. Perfect. Thanks, Paul. Something totally unrelated to this.
Want to relieve the sheriff's department?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Oh, she really wants to stay here and wants to select
It's,
meeting.
it's pretty warm in here though. You might want to get out there with some air.
All the hot air we're making in here. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, those. I go, Mike. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Very much.
Take care.
Thank you. Good night.
Moving right along, 2023 Muni Plan Grant Funds Match Discussion and Possible Action.
So as you all know, we had a Muni Plan grant that helped with the study on the Center Street property, did the skate park, looked at, the old town hall and some other things. Jen had originally wanted that grant, but the BCRC doesn't work with Parks and Rec, they work with planning. So I thought it would be great to do sort of a split match. So it was down somewhere. So the total match was $2,050, so that would be $1,025 from each. $1,025 from Parks and Rec and $1,025.
Yes. Need a motion?
Yes, please.
I'll make the motion that we
Split the match in half.
split the match in half between Parks and Rec and planning.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Vorak Grant Land Purchase Escrow Agreement Amendment Discussion and Possible Action.
So we have an escrow agreement with the Vorak, well, not with Vorak, but we have an escrow agreement with Sean O'Donovan for the Vorak grant. We purchased the land for the right of way. We established an escrow agreement with him so that he would complete the work on time. We have not gotten our Act 250 approval yet, so he cannot start the work. So it is our fault, sort of, that he's not able to meet the escrow agreement and he's willing to amend it if we increase it by 5,000.
What is the warrant right now?
It's $20,000 that's remaining in escrow.
It's just an escrow.
He wants to increase it by 5, and I do have it in the grant to cover it.
You do have it in the grant.
I
That's
do
not
still
coming out of
have it
our
in the
general
grant.
fund.
No, it will not come out of the general fund, it will come out of Vorak.
What's the delay? What happened?
I'm waiting for Act 250 approval.
Okay.
And what are the,
In review.
just so I already know the answer to this question, but what are the ramifications if we don't approve the $5,000 increase?
We might have a hard time getting the work done to build the road and our logging road up in as a right of way and the parking lot. He's building all three.
Just want people to know.
Yep.
That's all. Just want to be transparent.
Yep.
You need a motion on
A
it?
new favorite word.
I'll make a motion that we increase escrow from 20,000 to 25,000 through the Vorak grant
For the town right away.
for the work that's to be done on the town right of ways
With the land purchased.
and land purchase.
And just so we're clear, the lawyer already reached out to the other attorney. Everyone is agreeable. It just, we just need approval in open session.
Second that.
Any more discussion? And I think if something happens where it couldn't be done, if we have all the approvals in place, I think it's certainly something that we could put out to bid to finish the process if we needed to. I'm not saying it would be less expensive, but it is an avenue that we could definitely explore. I don't want to do that. I just want to make sure that we know that's an option. I have a motion. Second, all in favor? Aye. Town clerk digitization. Oh, I got it. Mapping expense request.
That's a tough one. I'm glad I
I usually blow that one every time, but I was really working hard on that one.
So Bridget has been working with Julie. She scanned the entire map box. It's safe. So there are tons of other maps, and Wendy sort of hasn't had use of the scanner yet because Bridget's been using it. And now that Wendy is ready to start scanning, Bridget knows the process. She knows the table of contents that Julie has worked out with her. You all approved 12 weeks of Bridget doing the mapping. They stuck to budget. Julie showed me today she has a budget spreadsheet, which is working great for them. They put in the hours that she worked and that stuff. So we're just looking for approval to get the rest of the map scanned in so we can get them to the cartographer. And Bridget will work with Wendy and show her the process and the things. And then it's easier because there's tape and stickies on every map, and there's been a lot to it. If they're working together, they make a great team, and it takes the pressure off of me to have to do any IT stuff because Bridget doesn't mind working with the IT and figuring out issues, because for some reason that printer just has issues all the time.
Well, you're putting through all sorts of different materials through that.
And it's, some of them are taped, and like the sunlight hits it the wrong way. It's quite interesting. It's been pretty interesting.
What's the increase in budget for that?
So it wouldn't necessarily be an increase. Julie has a digitization fund that a certain amount per page that's recorded goes into this fund to digitize our records. So maps are certainly part of the records, and she has to keep things, for example, like our tax property maps, town view maps. She has to keep those for a really long time so she can digitize them. She can then take them out of the safe and
they can get boxed and then put in the basement.
And it'll organize the safe a little better.
Because you're not throwing stuff away. You're digitizing it, boxing it, putting it in the basement where it can be stored, but you can also
Under the
readily
church.
access it.
Under the church.
We have lots of stuff under the church.
I know we do.
Yes, we do.
So that.
Do we have a ballpark number? Or did they have a?
We didn't, because we figured that would be really hard,
That's what I thought.
and that's why I kind of questioned a little bit. I said, well, how did you do with the last, the 12 weeks that you were given? And that's when she showed me the spreadsheet, which I was happy with.
And there's a lot of maps that she scanned.
There was a lot of maps, and I can attest to they are not easy maps. And sometimes when I hear her send them through, I'm like, oh, that's so bad, because it's like,
Well, because they're maps that have.
It's like really.
They're really old.
The older
They
one.
haven't been stored quite properly. This isn't nothing on.
No, it's not
June,
nothing on.
but this is, 100-year maps that are 100 years. They get bounced around.
Exactly.
So you got to tape them and kind of please go through and not have any problems.
So I feel like my brain at this point is just kind of a little bit of a brain fog. So I guess I'm trying to figure out, so then what is the expense request being made?
She's just requesting that we turn around and do the rest of the.
Well, so
use the.
let's bring Jeannie up to speed, right? Before you became a board member, we voted to have Bridget work with Julie on doing the digitization 2 times of the maps, and we had a certain number that we put out, and I apologize, I don't remember what that was. And right now we have come to that number.
Okay.
Budget wise, but it's not even in the budget, it's in our digitization fund 3 times. Even as tired as I am. So we're asking to increase that number out of that fund to keep Bridget working.
Great, that's great.
We have close to $20,000.
We have one, yeah, so
Thank you.
do we do a number, or do we digitize the maps? And just observe I mean, I'll say that to the board, since we're the ones voting on it. Which way do we want to do with this? I mean, frankly, why don't we just say, get the maps done?
Well, I think there's a couple things here, Kyle. So I agree with getting the maps done. Okay, and I do. But I think part of that is our assessor's job, not just Julie and Bridget. Am I correct in that statement?
Yes.
But
100% correct.
But the maps are the purview of
The town clerk has established a table of contents
Mhm.
that she works within, that works within our other systems, and that will just make sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So Wendy will basically be taught the system.
Well, that's where I was
Working with Bridget.
That's where I was going with it. So I think we want to be very careful that we're not going to create a permanent position
No,
for Bridget
Yes.
or anyone else for that matter down the road. This technically falls under someone else's
Purview.
thank you. And.
but then if it's budgeted, if it's a budgeted item and it falls under that purview, why are we divvying money up? Because it falls underneath their purview.
Well, I think so what I'm hearing is that the position that should be doing this is struggling with doing it right now. So we're looking for some help and some training
Yeah, it's not training.
from someone who
Yeah, I don't.
seems to understand it.
Struggling. I don't think she's been given the chance yet.
Well, there you go. I'm sorry. And that's absolutely.
She hasn't learned it yet.
She hasn't been given a chance to learn, so we can't say that she's struggling because she hasn't been given a chance. So what I think is, and I know exactly what you're saying. So do we say, okay, here's $3,000 or $5,000 or $2,400?
Or just get the damn job done and just, and have them both work on it. I agree with you. Have them both work on it.
Or not to exceed.
Maybe not to, that's
fine.
Do we put that?
I just want
level, so then come back to it?
So I want the person.
How much did we spend last time?
I think it was like $2,000.
Yeah, I don't think it's a lot of money.
You think it was more?
I think it was like $4,000 or something like that.
I don't know. I think it's irrelevant. Let's go with a number, right? Not to exceed a certain number.
We have how, 20 in the account? Let's go now, let's say you use $5,000 and then come back.
Well, let's hopefully you're not coming.
But those maps are gonna go back. But those maps are gonna go
Should be
quick.
done.
Yes.
What maps are we talking about that they're gonna get scanned now?
She said everything. So,
Correct.
The survey maps that haven't been sent to the cartographer, but then also that huge map, that gray map box.
Yeah.
All of those, there's maps downstairs still in the
They're not
big
there.
map drawer thing that came
Not that
from the
many
old
have been
town
through that.
office.
But are we doing the Mylars?
Yes.
What originally it was Wendy was supposed to do, or the assessor clerk was supposed to do the Mylars. And Bridget was going to scan all the other maps.
That's correct.
Is that what we're still planning on doing?
That is still the plan, yeah.
So what we're talking about is not Wendy's. We're just talking about
No, we're talking
Bridget's.
about the Mylars that Wendy was going to do.
That's what we're talking about.
Bridget is, yes.
Let's make a motion not to exceed $3,000.
I would move not to exceed $3,000. And if you need to come back for more, let's have that conversation.
Second that motion.
I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll say aye, but I'll hold my reservation. I think we should put some more in there, but.
We can come back.
All right.
Okay.
And I'd like that.
Because
I'd like that.
possibly somebody might have learned the process.
That's
by
right.
then.
No, that's right.
They
That's
can-
my
they
whole,
can Do it.
that's my whole.
Spreadsheet.
So,
Yeah.
just
We'll definitely get the job done.
that way,
That has to be done, so.
Yeah.
there's some training done.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion to enter executive for personnel.
So move.
Second.
And we're gonna be so fast.
Yeah. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll entertain a motion to come out of executive for personnel.
I'll move to come out of executive for personnel.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll entertain a motion to give our administrative assistant the agreed upon raise when we hired her upon completion of the course in Vermont business.
I'll make that
Something
motion.
to effective immediately.
Second it.
So you got it.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any public comment, Hannah?
No hands are up.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn
I'll make that motion.
finally.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you guys for a great meeting tonight. Long one, but it was a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta get that